Hi, I'm Nick Lawrence, and I am FTM, and I started my transition, my official transition, a year ago, March, when I was 45 years old. And I just wanted to share with you how I decided to transition in the first place. I thought about it for a long time, but really what had happened was I was a very unhappy lesbian, and I just never identified with the lesbian community. And my wife and I always joked about how we were really a straight couple, except that when we'd go hang out with straight friends, I was still in that in between place of not really hanging out with the men and not really hanging out with the women. And I just had a lot of anxiety and discomfort for many years. It came out when I was 17. So almost 20 years of discomfort. And I had not had much experience with transsexuals. I had never really met any transsexuals. My dog is whining. Go away! Right now! Go lay down! Silly dog. That's right. Lay down. So, excuse me. So, the only experience I'd had with transsexuals was, I guess, that I knew of. Maybe in the early 80s, we had a coffee house and we had two MTFs that came in, and it was in the early stages of transsexualism, I guess. I don't mean to be harsh, but it was one of those things where these ladies, they looked more like drag queens than passing transsexuals, and I didn't know how to think about it at the time. I didn't understand that it doesn't really matter if you pass or not. What matters is that you are who you're supposed to be, and you take it however you end up, turning out. But it's such a relief to be the man or woman that you know yourself to be. So anyway, I was pretty uncomfortable by the way these ladies looked, because they were tall and broad-shouldered, and looking back, I realized they probably hadn't been on estrogen for very long. But they had kind of big feet, and they were both probably in their 60s, and so testosterone had already worked on their faces. They had very male faces, and it was something that I kind of shuddered from and said, I don't, I'm never going to do something like that, because I don't want to have that result. So I had that judgment in my pocket for a while, and it wasn't until about 4 years ago that I was in my hometown, and I saw this really handsome guy, and I looked at him, and I knew that I knew him, but I couldn't place him. And he looked up at me, and he said, "Hey, Nick," although my name wasn't Nick at the time, but let's say that it was. He goes, "Hey, Nick, it's me, Max." I'm like, "Max? I don't know. Do I know you?" He goes, "Nick, it's me, Max." And I go, "Max? See, I don't know where to place him." And finally he goes, "Nick, it's me, Max." And then it dawns on me, and I go, "Oh my God." I go, "Max, you're fucking hot." He goes, "I know." And I go, "Oh wow." My whole brain goes like this. It was like the GPS, when you miss a turn and your GPS goes recalculating, and so my brain just starts recalculating. And I'm like, "Oh my God," because I knew him as Susan, and I'm like, "That's Susan. Oh my God." And Susan was one of those lesbians, like if you came out like many of us FTMs, that you just never quite fit right in your body, and here he was, just totally hot and gorgeous, and I thought, I can aspire to be like Max. He passes, he looks great, and I knew right then that I could become a man. So I still didn't have the guts to do it, because I just still didn't know how to think about it, and I was a very public person in my community. I was a teacher, I knew everybody, and I was in the middle of an adoption and starting a school and all these things, and I just couldn't really think about it yet. And then and then I had really huge breasts, so I had a breast reduction. And the day after my breast reduction, I had a completely flat chest, and I looked in the mirror and I saw myself with a man chest, and I thought, oh my God, this is what I have to do. I cannot tolerate being a woman another second. So that was 2 years ago, and maybe 3 summers ago. No, it was 2 summers 2 summers ago. And right then I knew, okay, I'm going to do this. I still didn't know how to do it. So, and I was in the middle of a bunch of things that just didn't work for me to add that layer. But about a year and a half ago, I really started saying, okay, I've got to do this. I don't know what to do. And it turned out that because of the budget crisis, I was the last person hired in a particular district, and I got my pink slip, like about 30 other people. And I thought, okay, I am going to leave my area, and I'm going to go somewhere else, and I'm going to go live as a man, and I'm going to try it out. And a friend of mine invited me to go to Houston to work. I'm from California. So he invited me to go to Houston to work in some roofing business with him. And I thought, okay, Texas, oh, you know. And I got there, and it turns out that Houston has the most well-organized and phenomenal transgender community in the whole world. I said, thank you, God. You know, I'm God's favorite boy. Yay. And I went and I met the most fabulous people. Kudos to you people in Houston. I love you, and you helped me. So I went there and went to my first trans meeting, and shh,